Previously, in the recap, Kazuma died a hilarious death, and in his reincarnation, he wished to bring the goddess Aqua with him to another world. Because Aqua, she made fun of him and now can only return to heaven once she beats the Devil King with Kazuma. But they lacked some serious firepower because Kazuma lacked any skill or powers, and Aqua is only good when it comes to healing powers. So when they posted a recruitment poster on the guild board, the first person to join their team was Megumi, but her flaw was that she could only use her power once a day and she became paralyzed after using it. Another one was Darkness, a crusader with good defense abilities, but she had never hit her target once, and she enjoys being tormented as well as love kinky stuff. In the meantime, when Darkness decided to pay a visit to her family and Aqua got a part-time job, Kazuma accompanied Megumi to her magic practice because she becomes paralyzed after using it, so she targeted an old castle and blew it up every single day. The general of the Devil King army then arrived because his castle was being blown away by the day, and Megumi took responsibility for this, but when that general forgave her, she had to provoke him in order to appear cool in front of others. So that night cast a death curse, which Darkness took on herself to save Megumi, but Aqua was a goddess, so the curse was lifted. However, after a while, that night returned with the same complaint, but this time Kazuma was unaware that Megumi had gone with Aqua to practice her explosion magic on that general's castle. So this time, the Headless Knight wanted to get rid of that problem once and for all, so Aqua took the charge to use her purification spell to defeat him because he is an undead knight, but it had no effect on him, and he became enraged and summoned his minions that targeted Aqua, so she turned to Kazuma for help, and he came up with an approach in which they led those minions to that knight, and Megumi would use her explosion magic to wipe them out in a single shot. It took care of the minions, but not the caster. After this, that undead was about to charge in to attack them, and those other adventurers blocked his path, but they were killed in an instant. So to stop him, Darkness stepped in thinking that she would be tortured or sexually harassed by him. She was totally into this, but that undead knight still had his dignity, and as they intercepted, Darkness also had a difficult time against it. By that time, Kazuma had discovered his weakness was water, so Aqua cast a massive amount of water to weaken him, and once he was weak, Aqua cast the purifying spell on him again, and this time it worked, and the undead general was defeated. So, for defeating such a powerful general from the Devil King's army, Kazuma and his party received a 3 million reward, but 80% of it was reduced because they were also the ones who destroyed the town gate with that water spell. After the winter arrived, and now they're broke again, so they had to take guild jobs again, and this time Aqua chose a new and profitable job for them, killing snowflakes in the winter, but Aqua wanted to do the polar opposite, catching and using them in the summer for cold drinks. However, there was one obstacle to completing this task: the Winter Shogun, who dislikes seeing snowflakes killed. The term Winter Shogun originated from a Japanese myth. And one of the Japanese men who Aqua reincarnated into this world made his fantasy a reality by bringing that shogun into existence, so Aqua advised Kazuma to ask for forgiveness, but he made a major mistake by not throwing away his sword. Because Kazuma died again and met another goddess Ares, she told him that he couldn't reincarnate into the same world from which he came, but Aqua knew there was no such rule and brought him back to life. So, as the story progresses, Kazuma and Aqua paid a visit to a friend of theirs named Wiz. They sorta ran into her in the graveyard when she was guiding the soul to heaven, and typically Aqua tried to kill her because she was lich, but she was a nice person, so she let her go after some good talk. Even after that, Aqua remained hostile to her, and when she mentioned how she served in the Devil King's army, Aqua wanted to get rid of her, but Kazuma didn't jump to conclusions and gave her a chance to explain. It was because she wanted to live in peace that she served as a mage who kept the barrier up, and the real reason they came was to learn a new skill called Mana Drained. After that, an aristocrat came in with a ghost problem, and after solving it, he gave his mansion to them to live in for free, but free was sketchy, and it proved to be correct because Kazuma just witnessed a ghost that scared him at night. So he went to Aqua because she can purify souls, but he found Megumi there for the same reason, and Aqua was already purifying souls with Darkness when they got Nature's Call, and Megumi was the first hit those ghosts got there, and so Kazuma took Megumi immediately from the restroom while she was in the middle of it. When everything was said and done, and every ghost was purified, they suddenly received a reward from the guild because many people tried to purify that house of ghosts but were unsuccessful. And the reason only they knew was that all the ghosts lived there because Aqua destroyed the circle from the nearby graveyard in order to prevent them from entering the graveyard. But those souls who couldn't enter the graveyard now had nowhere to go, so they chose the closest place to live, which was the mansion. It was all Aqua's fault, so they didn't take the reward money. Soon after, as the story progresses, they received an urgent bad news that the mobile fortress was approaching, and upon hearing this news, everyone in the town was evacuating except the adventurers. They chose to protect the town. The mobile fortress is like an automatic functional moving fortress that destroys everything in its path, and it's basically impossible to destroy it. But they had Wiz and Megumi who could destroy its barrier, and if its barrier is reduced, it's possible that they can destroy it, as they planned. Others gathered around its path, and Megumi and Wiz casted their powerful explosion magic and did their work, and everyone thought that fortress it was now harmless, until they got another bad news: it's going to self-destruct. However, seeing that Darkness had the courage to save the town on her own by solving that self-destruct, other adventurers paved a path for Kazuma and other to get inside that fortress to stop its self-destruct, where they discovered the creator and his diary. It was mentioned in the journal that his superior wanted him to make this thing, which he did, but he forgot to include an off switch, and as a result of that stupid mistake, this fortress ran rampant without ever stopping, and because he couldn't get off of it, he died alone in it. So they went back to saving and found its core, and without it, this fortress might not self-destruct. So Wiz took mana from Kazuma and performed a teleport spell to send that core away, but the location could be random, so Kazuma acted as a man and said he would take responsibility for it. And with that Wiz then teleported it away, and when they thought the self-destruct had worn off, they were mistaken, so for plan B, Megumi returned, and with Drain Touch skill, Kazuma transferred Aqua's mana to Megumi to blow away that entire fortress. And after that, town returned to normal, for some time, but then the Imperial officer arrived to take Kazuma into custody. Since he accepted responsibility for that core's ability to teleport, it teleported to a nobleman's mansion and was destroyed, and he filed a case against the person held accountable for his actions, who was Kazuma. So our anime's first season comes to an end here. For more recaps and updates, simply subscribe to the channel.